Hello, Nez.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I was jamming out to that.
Yeah, it's not bad, eh?
No.
Me and Blee wrote that actually. He's like a music artist who writes music, obviously,
Oh, that's awesome.
and he does EDM. And so when I had him on the podcast last, we decided to make our own music on the podcast.
That's
So it's just
amazing. I can dance
yeah.
to that all day.
So we made that one. That's what we came up with. So
Just
yeah,
like
it was a
I'm all about
jam.
that.
It
Yeah.
was a jam. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for coming in. Zilla Patch Podcast, episode 27 with Nez. Lovely to have you. Always a pleasure. We can always talk for hours, and I love it.
I have chugged many an energy drinks to be awake right now.
100%. 100%. I know it's late for you. What time? What, midnight now, yeah? So
Yeah, it's a little past midnight.
it's bloody Australians, honestly. Like, they're always messing up your fucking day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like what time is it? What's happening?
Exactly. So let's get to it. First of all, everything you do on Twitch and everything you're doing with F Squad Alpha looks pretty cool. How did you get into Twitch in the first place? What led you to that? And have you always been a gamer?
So I definitely have always been a gamer. I have, I started with card games like Magic the Gathering,
Oh yeah.
and Pokemon. I dated a lot of guys that were always in card shops and things. So I got into that. I was like, what is this? I love this. And now, I've spent hundreds of dollars on cards
Yeah.
and booster packs and stuff. But I've been in the streaming community probably for a couple years now. I've only been streaming personally myself for a little under a year. I'll hit my year affiliate status in April.
Oh wow.
My friend Wine, you've met her.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, I stumbled upon her community when she first started streaming a couple years ago, and was just always in chat. Like, got to know her. You know, people started learning my name in Twitch just through me talking in random channels. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge shit talker, so I was like, I fucking hate all you guys, but it's fine. And they were like, you need to stream, like you need to get on the platform, you need to do this. I was like, nah, fuck it, I don't want to. And finally, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking do it.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an emotional roller coaster for me because getting involved in like wine streams, I became like my name was very well known in that community. And I'm not shy about a lot of things in my life. And through that, we had like I started streaming and then I stopped for like 3 months and I hadn't touched it for 9 months. And it was because I was pregnant. Um, but talking about it, like, and I don't know how it works in Australia, but in the States, I was told at 28 I would never have kids.
Right.
It was a big thing. It sucks being that young and being told like you're never gonna, be a parent. And like I had to fight with doctors and everything to get even diagnosed because our insurance doesn't cover it.
Mm.
They're like, all right, cool, this happened. Like, fucking go on. Like, we're not gonna help you anymore. And so that community like helped like kind of like patch things up and like help me get through it.
Mhm.
Because it was just such an awful time in my life. And going through treatments and everything with my husband, um, the Twitch community was like there and like, hey, you got this, like we're here for you. And just it opened up a world of support that I didn't realize was there.
Mm.
Um, and so I started back streaming when I was pregnant and everyone was so excited. Like it was insane. Like everyone was like, "Oh my god, it happened. Oh my god," like all these things. I was like, "Stop, you're going to make a pregnant lady cry on Twitch." And no one needs to see that.
Yeah, I get that.
Like just like
Uh,
be fucking emotional for no reason. Like, "Oh my god, you're here. Let me like cry."
No, but that's massive though. Like, I mean, if you think about it, it's funny. Like, Twitch has a way of doing that though. Like, streaming
Yeah,
in general, it
absolutely.
doesn't matter where you stream. It's just personally, like, it's provided me with a lot of those kind of things as well. And for a lot of people like yourself, like, I don't know what it is about random people on the internet, but I mean, sometimes you meet some of the greatest people on the internet, and sometimes you meet some of the worst. But it just
Mhm.
depends how you go about it, I guess. And if you put good vibes out there, you really do attract good vibes back,
Yeah.
generally speaking.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, just, I mean, it's crazy how, like, a lot of people in real life, who are your friends and stuff, probably don't half as much as the people who watch you online, because you spend more
Mhm.
hours online talking to those people than you do talking to people on the phone, right? So like, you're not going to have a 6-hour conversation with someone on the phone, like, but you'll stream 6 hours and the same, people will be sitting in the chat talking to you the whole time. So it's like time invested than time experienced. So it's kind of cool in both ways, isn't it?
It definitely is. It brings out the best of people and the worst in people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've heard this a bunch, but like female streamers get so much shit in our
Yeah.
channels. And being pregnant on top of that, like I would get messages like, "Oh, you're the fat friend, like you're fat," and like all this stuff, and I'd be like, "I'm pregnant. What do you expect? Like, you want me to be a twig growing a human? Like, what?" I think a lot of it, because my history, because I've worked in law enforcement, I've worked in prisons, maximum security prisons, so I have pretty thick skin. I've been called every name in the book, and when like these random kids just show up and stream and try to insult me, and I'm like, "That's it? Like that? Like, okay, cool. Like what? Like no worries, dude."
There's no substance to anything you just said.
Yeah,
it's like, good, try again.
Makes me laugh.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why you have such a good sense of humor too. Because like, especially like when I watch you on stream, you're always laughing. Like you're always giggling at something. Like something's always like, even if someone could be calling you the worst thing in the world and you'd be laughing. Like that's just that's just the way you are. And that's probably why I gravitated towards your channel as well, because I'm a bit like that as well. So we kind of like, I think I connected with you on that level when I was in your streams, because I was like, oh, she's take the piss like I do. Like, and I love that about it. I love that about it.
Honestly, think about it. It takes no energy to be kind. Like none whatsoever. And these people coming in like with the hate raids and everything, like you're trying to be mean, you're trying to be negative, and you're failing because I don't give a shit. Like, thanks for the engagement, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is the thing, we've always talked about this, especially on the other podcast we do with me and Ken, with the empowerment podcast. We always talk about toxicity. So like as like something as a general rule, and we always say it's like, the poison in the well, do you know what I mean? Like one drop of poison, the whole well's poisoned. But if you drop water into the well, it just fills up. So it's like, it's the whole concept of that is so relevant when it comes to streaming and when it comes to communities on any platform, because if you build the right community, it doesn't matter if the toxic person comes in, they'll be pushed straight out the door, right?
Yeah.
But if you build the toxic community, no one's going to get along. Everyone's going to have a problem with something. There's always going to be drama. Like it's just not worth it. And occasionally I'll see it, in my streams or in other people's streams where there's just that one person that comes in and tries to ruin it for everyone. And sometimes they succeed. And sometimes like they'll grab on, or they'll put their claws into one or two people in the chat, and then they'll start to turn. And it's just, you've got to sort of stamp it out when you see it, which is, I don't know. It's sometimes it's frustrating.
So hard because you want to sit there and you want to feed into it. Because you're like, how dare you come into my space and do this? But then you're just you're validating it. And so I'd rather just laugh it off and be like, cool.
Yeah.
Like I fucking died. What's new?
That's exactly right.
Otherwise they'll keep coming. Oh, like, sorry, it's super dark.
That's okay.
They'll just keep coming and trying to be jerks, but I have no time for it. I want to have a good time. Like, I want to be really bad at video games.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are streaming, they're not trying to do it because they're, the most amazing at the video game. I think sometimes people like to stream because they just like to talk to people. That's some of the biggest streamers on the platform don't play video games. They don't need to. Like they're just funny people, or they're just very like relatable people. Like people can see something in them that they can see in their friends, or they can see something in them that they enjoy, or they like that trait. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most cracked person at a game. So I think that's what I've realized over time, because when I first started streaming, I was just playing a game. And I'm thinking to myself, I suck at this game. Why would anyone want to watch me?
Yeah.
And then I started getting more viewers, and I was like, why are you guys here? I don't understand.
You see me fail?
Like, I am terrible at this game. I don't know why I even play it half the time. And you guys want to come in here and watch, like, we don't care about the game. We're here to just talk to you. I was like, okay. And as soon as that clicked in my head, that's when things actually started to take off a bit, because I was like, wait, I don't have to play the game well. I just have to be playing it in order to provide entertainment. But at the same time, I can provide the entertainment without doing that. Absolutely. So sometimes I would test myself and be like, I do just chatting streams for like hours, right? And just see if I could fill time. And sometimes I do like 10, 12-hour just chatting streams. And I was like, I would get up the next day, I would be able to talk for 2 days. Like, you know what I mean?
I think that's the biggest thing people don't realize. You need to be authentic. You need to be you streaming, because if you try and put on this persona that you're not, like, people can see right through that.
Oh, exactly.
I'd rather build a community and be like, "Hey, I'm a fucking dumbass. Let's laugh at me."
This is how I am.
And like, I'm perfect about everything.
Yeah,
I've always been drawn to building connections. I grew up when the internet was like something shiny and new, like the days of AOL and the dial-up internet. And what was it, like MSM Messenger and AIM Messenger, like that. I
Wild
grew up into
times.
that. And my husband always says I'm too trusting. But I just like to meet friends, and get to know people. When I was, I think, 16, I talked to people on DeviantArt. And I started writing letters back and forth with someone for 10 years. Like this, like actual letters in the mail going to the UK. And so it's just, I'm always about making those connections and meeting people and being who I am. And I don't give a shit if you don't like it.
Yeah, I totally understand that. The thing that it is like, now that you've started this whole like the F Squad Alpha thing, right? Now,
Yes.
it's funny. That's kind of like a fun segue, because you're just talking about meeting random people on the internet. Like, you created a whole show out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It started with me streaming, and then streaming games with Kaylee, who was Wine. And then this person started coming into our streams. Her name is My Name Jess. And we're like, "Hey, what's up? Like, how is it?" And we started talking. We started hanging out in Discord. And then her friends, Jordan and Tyler, started hanging out in Discord. And we started playing games together, which we played Ready or Not, the realistic shooting SWAT game.
I've seen you play.
And I've streamed it a few times. And I tell you what, that game is not, it is very difficult, because you're supposed to go in and save hostages and not shoot the bad guys and everything. And it would be a shit show every time, because it gives you a grade F to S. And every time we get an F. And that's how F Squad Alpha was born, because we were like, fucking F Squad, let's go. Like, we're not we're not getting any better. And I remember the first time Kaylee played is we went in and we explained it, like, all right, we're gonna save the hostages. We're saving the civilians, Kaylee. Saving them. And she's like, yeah, okay. 2 seconds from the door, she shoots all the civilians. And we're like, what are you doing? And she was like, oh, my bad. And the only person I'd met in that group was Kaylee. And I've known her for years. And the first time I met her in person, I want to say, was 5 months ago. Like, I flew out when I was pregnant with my daughter to see her for the first time. And then we meet this group of people and we just say, like, hey, fuck it, let's all meet up in Arizona. And I'd maybe talk to these people for like a month and a half straight. And the very next day we all bought tickets. And in a week we were all in Arizona. And we're like, let's fucking like record shit. Let's make all this content, because we think we're hilarious and we don't care if anyone else likes it. And it's turned into this like wonderful thing. And we have all these ideas. Was it July, Carlos? Yeah, it was July. I flew out and met her in July, and then Arizona happened. It was insane. Like, I've never had so much fun in my life. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't like, oh, who are these people? I've made a terrible mistake. Like, from when we woke up to when we went to bed, we were laughing and crying.
That's amazing. It's always great when you meet a bunch of people who you relate to like that. Yeah. And just like this is another example of how the internet can be used for a good thing. So like a lot of the times people are always like, oh, the internet this and the internet that, and those kind of people just read too many Twitter feeds. Like they just need to like put themselves in spaces that are actually enjoyable. I think a lot of people enjoy finding the problems, whereas like the majority of us want to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, I'm not like perfect. I've been involved in like internet drama. It is what it is. Like, you go through a learning period. You're like, all right, do I really want to spend my time in this? No, I want to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's always a way. There's always a way. I mean, we started out just watching YouTube videos, and now we're watching, live streaming. So it's kind of like it's a weird transition for that as well. I mean, I remember the time when that wasn't even a thing either. Like, you know,
Mhm.
you like MSN, man. Honestly, you said MSN, you tilted me, eh? Because like I remember
Throwing
MSN,
it
like
back.
it was like after school, right? Where you like, you'd be in the schoolyard all day just talking shit to your friends, and then you get home, and instead of like phoning them on the home phone,
Yeah.
you'd dial up that internet and you jump on MSN and just start trolling them, and it was
Yeah.
like that's where it all began, really. And like, the next generation of kids won't know the struggles of
Mhm.
any of that or the fucking the hate. Like, Jesus. Some of the
I
things
remember I
uh
remember teachers being like, "You're never gonna get paid for video games. You're never gonna have all this stuff available
no.
to you." And I'm like, "Look at me now. I make money playing games on the internet."
Yeah.
And my husband's like, "Why do they watch you?" I was like, "I don't fucking know why they watch me, but they do."
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, and then my mom said the same thing. Like, I remember what was it? One of my teachers in school, I believe it was like maybe year 5, which is like probably like 11, maybe
Mhm.
12. And the teacher said, everyone, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a lot of people are like choosing like, things that are just like ridiculously stupid, like, race car driver or
Yeah.
astronaut or whatever it might be. And then you go to me and like, what do you want to do? I was like, I like playing video games. They're like, well, what are you going to get out of that? I'm like, I don't know. Is there people that get paid for that? And they're just like, that's not realistic. I'm like, is it more realistic than an astronaut? Like, who the fuck? Like, you know what I
Right?
mean?
Like,
That was my answer. Like, I was like, it's more realistic to be a video game tester or a video game player and getting paid for that than flying to the fucking moon. Like, like
like,
and
"Let
old
me
mate
sit on my
sitting down
couch
here,
and play
like,
games,
oh,
and
you
you
just
fucking go to the
ruined
moon.
my,
It's
yeah, you
fine."
just dashed my hopes and dreams, man. It's like, fuck you. Like, it's
Yeah.
like,
Like, what do you expect?
I'm just trying to be realistic. It's like, why'd you say video games? Like, because that's all I've ever done as a kid is read books
Mhm.
and play video games. That's all I did because that's what I enjoyed doing. It's like,
Yeah.
some people draw, some people ride their bike, some people play sport, and I was the one that was reading the books and fucking
Yeah,
playing
like, I
video
can't I
games.
can't sing. I don't have any physical talents, but I can
Yeah,
fucking play games.
exactly. Because my dad
I
always
can
wanted me to play music, but I was just like terrible at that as well. So I was like, you know what? It's gonna be video games.
Yeah, like, I can button mash like a motherfucker.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. Speaking of jobs, what did you say you were doing before this? You were
Uh,
in
so I've worked mostly in law enforcement, and
law
I worked
enforcement,
in a maximum men's security prison for almost 10 years.
right?
And I actually met my husband in prison. And it's one of my favorite things to tell people. I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
how'd you and, Steven meet?" I'm like, "Prison." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And it's like they'll either, like, just leave immediately or be like, "So, how'd that happen?"
Yeah. So how did that
And it
happen?
he wa he was my sergeant.
Oh,
Uh,
right, right, right.
yeah. So we met and we hung out and we got married, but it's just prison changes you. And, like, we became very, like, home buddies just because
Mm,
you start to see the worst of society. And it's a lot of things that, like, you see this awful thing happen in the news. You see, like, this trial happen and they get sentenced and then that's it. Like, people generally wash their hands of it and they never see or hear, like, of that situation ever again.
yeah.
And on the flip side, like, my husband and I would walk in and we'd see that person, like, every day of our lives. So we would see the aftermath of it. And I mean, I've met horrible, horrible people. I've met people that made an honest mistake, and they're paying the price of it. Like, they got drunk and drove and killed someone.
Mhm.
And they've learned their lesson. Some don't. It's really like adult babysitting, honestly, because
Yeah, I
it's
can
like
imagine.
like a miniature city. Like, they have their own school, they have their own, like, hospital, like, kitchen, they grow their food and things like that. So it's definitely an experience. It changes your outlook on life and
Mhm.
really, like, who you talk to and what you, like, align yourself with. Because it's like any single one of us is one mistake away from being in that position. Um, our choices definitely dictate, like, how we go about our days.
Mm,
And I've been lucky enough, when I left, the prison system, and it's because I chose to, start a family, which if you're pregnant as an officer in a prison, they don't take you off your post. Like, you work your same post.
mhm.
So I would have been on a living unit with like 300, 400 adult men pregnant with a partner, just the 2 of us. So it's not ideally the safest spot
No.
for female, like, officers when they're pregnant. And on top of that, I worked with mentally ill, so it wasn't just like a normal, like, conversation. They'd be like, "Fine, 1 second," and then snap immediately.
Yeah.
So definitely was not a very safe environment for me.
Mhm.
But I definitely loved it, because my last post that I had was in the visiting room, so I got to see families come in and see their loved ones and everything, and when the inmates learned that I was leaving, I had over 50 of them come up to me and thank them for, like, how I treated them inside because I didn't care what they did. I had the ability to look up, their crimes and everything, but I didn't because I had the mindset. I was like, "You were already judged by your peers. You've already been sentenced. It is
Yeah.
not my job to treat you poorly because of that." Like, obviously, I have my own personal feelings on, certain crimes and individuals, but I'm gonna treat you like a human being
Mhm.
because you don't deserve anything less, and I wouldn't be a good person if I did. Like,
Yeah.
Imma treat you like a human, like, I'm gonna show you that you can be a better person, and if you don't want to, that's on you.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it was humbling for when they thanked me because, like, usually, like, the stigma is like, "You're an officer, you're an inmate, go fuck yourself." But they were, "No, like, thank you so much for how you treated me and, like, everything, it means a lot." I was like, "You're welcome," you know?
Yeah, well, that's a real. I mean, that's a real judgment of your character as well. Like as a person, like you're that person. Like you basically saying, I'm not going to judge you. Whatever you've done in the past is in the past. You're paying for it now. You've already submitted that penance. So now we're here
Mhm.
just to like get through it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a kind of a really cool way of looking at it because absolutely people read things and everyone judges a book by its cover. Like even if you say don't, they always do.
Yeah.
So
Everyone
like
has their biases.
that's what I mean. So like if we were going to a bar and like, I was saying I'm gonna bring my friend, and I say they're a lawyer. And you'd be like, okay, so this you immediately get this picture of this person and you think lawyer type, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But then I could say, oh, by the way, they're, a convicted pedophile, and you just be like, shit. Like you'd immediately judge that, wouldn't you? So like
Yeah.
it's different. It's different, like when it comes to that kind of thing. I mean, I like the way you approached it, to be honest. I think it's really
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, obviously, seeing those things every day of my life has made it, like, harder for me to react to it, so I almost feel like the emotions have been pulled out for me.
Mm,
I mean, I still think those crimes are awful and you're a terrible person if
of
you've done it, but it
course.
doesn't have that reaction because I saw it every day of my life.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I had the mindset, I was like, "Alright, this person is in prison. They're doing their time. If I treat them like the sack of shit that they what are they gonna get out of that? They're gonna get out of prison, and they're probably gonna do the same things. If I
Yeah.
treat them like a human being and, like, help them realize what they can be human and those steps and just treat them with respect, you can change their outlook and be like, "Alright, like, I was a fuck up, let me change this," and they get released, and you don't know how many lives you've impacted by just treating them like a human, because they
Yeah.
do get released, they do go back out into the communities, and so, I like to think that, the ones that thanked me, like, they've had this change, 'cause you see it, like, there's ones that are manipulative, there's ones that will never change, and there are ones that do, and I would
Mhm.
hope that the ones that do, they get out and they realize, "All right, I fucked up. I'm not that person anymore, and I'm not gonna do that again." And
Yeah.
so that's my one hope. If I saved one life, just one, with the interactions that I had with the guys in the prisons, I'm okay with that because that's
Mm.
all you can really do.
Well, prison isn't just a punishment; it's rehab. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's supposed to be a place where they have time to think about what they've done and
Mhm.
then rehabilitate themselves for society. The prison system is a weird place because a lot of people just think it's a place where people go to be punished. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no, they were punished by being sentenced in the first place. Doing their time is a way, for them to make penance in order to rehabilitate for society when they be released. And whereas people like don't think of it that way. They just think
Mhm.
we're being punished, I'm always going to be punished. Now I'm back in society, I deserve punishment. So that's probably you've got to change their mindset. And that the
Yeah.
fact that you sound like you were very good at your job because you were actually doing it the way it's supposed to be done, I guess, in
Yeah, I
regards to
mean, I
that.
think it came down to I was blunt and I was consistent and I didn't pretend to care. Like I would
Hmm.
listen to them regardless of who they were. I was like, "All right, like you're having a shitty day. Like what are we going to do about it?" You know, it's insane how much someone's persona can change if you just say hello
Yeah.
and treat them with respect versus like you're a fucking inmate, go away. It's I wouldn't say I would
That's
ever become friends with them, but, like, I was friendly, like, I had that rapport, enough to, like, "Hey, cool, have a good day," The just basic things to treat people with kindness.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing with law enforcement in general, isn't it? Like if you know, it comes from like I'll give respect to police officers and to people who are doing their job if they give respect to me as a citizen. I think it goes both ways because like a lot of police take the approach that you're a criminal before they even step out of their car, and that's a problem because you know if you do that, you're victimizing someone before they even had a chance to even have that interaction. I think that's prejudgment is fucked. But it's also a difficult situation because you don't know if that person is a criminal or if they have a problem or whatever it might be. So, I mean, like, I understand it from both perspectives. Yeah. So, like, I understand it from the civilian's perspective and from the police officer's perspective.
That's what made it easier because in my world, they were already all criminals. So I already knew, like,
exactly. You didn't have
you're
to.
a bad person.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you guys going to do now? Like, right? But it's just, it was insane to me. Like, obviously, outside of that world, you hear like, oh, they're a piece of shit, like leave them to rot, all the stuff. And like, that's not realistic. That's,
no, yeah.
I mean, you don't get to see it every day. Like you saw the trial, you saw it end, but I still have a responsibility to keep them alive. Like I'm responsible for their safety, even if I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's not my job to like them. It's my job to, make sure that they're alive and they do their time.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And the impact you can have on someone's life when they're in a negative mindset too is very important. So like it's as another great segue, I'm really good at these. In Twitch or in live streaming, you always get people who come in to escape their life, right? So there's a lot of people who game to escape their life. There's a lot of people who come into people's channels to escape their life. And because they have problems, and that's fine. But like you said before, if you can change one person's perspective or one person's life based on what you're doing, you've won, right? Because you've made a difference. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to change the lives of millions, but if you just change the life of one person, then that's just better than zero. So like, I find that in streaming and stuff as well, because if we have enough people in the chat constantly and everyone's coming in and supporting each other, that sometimes can pull people out of a hole that they might have been in, whatever it be, like mentally or physically or whatever it might be. That actually talking to the people in chat and having them boost them up a little bit just by being there and just by chatting with them might actually, cause them to change their entire mindset over a certain period of time and actually make a change. Like
on the other side of that too, I think there's a fine line that, a lot of streamers don't have appropriate boundaries because people just come in and they trauma dump. And it's like, all right, like I'm glad you're able to say that and you felt like safe enough to say that in that space, but it's not always appropriate because it catches people off guard. I'm all for, helping people and being there and like letting them vent, but there's some things that definitely shouldn't be done on Twitch. And it sucks 'cause you don't want to like shut these people out. Like, hey, like there's avenues. Sorry if you can hear the train. Like I live right next to train tracks.
Yeah, I can hear it. So good.
But it's like I don't want anyone coming into my stream thinking they can't talk about their life, but to a certain extent, because we're not like mental health licensed therapists. Like I don't want to give you the wrong advice and then something happens. It's just like I want you to get like a serotonin dump and be like, all right, I'm in a good mood now, right? And especially if it's the first time like you've come into a stream and you've said that, all right, like that, it, like kind of sketches me out, like right. At least stay in the stream, like let us get to know you and like who you are and then build you up from there. And that like kind of comes back to, when I was in Kaylee's stream and we talked about like my journey with infertility. Like I didn't just drop it the first day. It was like we built this conversation and we like leaned into it like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Like these are the steps and struggles that I'm going through. And it's a better conversation like as a community.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing too. The person that does that is usually the person who's done it in 10 other people's chats because they're trying to get a reaction out of you. So I think it's they're looking for pity, I think in some ways, and also looking for someone to solve their problems for them. And like you said, being someone who's streaming a video game, you're not a licensed psychologist. And someone who is a psychologist would not be on Twitch because that would, turn them into not being a psychologist ever again. So I think it is a fine line between supporting each other and, becoming someone's therapist. But I mean, look, you can only do what you can do. You know what I mean? Like I always say this to people in my community too. Like if someone is in trouble or needs some help, reach out to them and ask them if you can do. But as far as, a person who lives across the other side of the world, like you're very limited into what you actually can do. Like you can't go to this person's house and see how they are. You can't do this, you can't do that. So what you got to do is you got to say, hey, I'm here if you need to chat. Give them that opportunity to chat. Just be like, look, I just don't have the answers, but I'm in here. Do you know what I mean? That's sort of the best thing you can do. And you know what? You would do that for anyone, like whether it be a friend, family member, relative, whatever it might
100%.
be. So, if for the people that sit in the chat and hang out every single day, why wouldn't you do the same for them?
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with them. It's just saying, hey, I'm struggling. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, let's hang out. Let's have a good time. Let's take your mind off of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the community that I want to have. And I've had multiple people in my community just be like, you know what? Sorry, I haven't been here every day. Like, I'm going through some stuff. I'm like, hey, that's fine. We're human. We have lives. Like everything online is not perfect. Like you see like these influencers that have, hundreds of thousands of followers and they're posting sunshine and rainbows, right?
Yeah.
That's not real life. I
No.
guarantee you they have bad days. They just don't post about it. So it's perfectly normal. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And I'd rather you reach out and be like, I'm just not feeling it today than, trauma dump a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it's just it's a step thing too. Like you've got to, you can point people in the right direction, but that doesn't mean they go in that direction. So it's like, but that's not your responsibility. Your
No.
responsibility is just to be there and say, hey, what's up? And that's it.
Yeah.
You can't do anything else. It's not,
No.
it's not your job.
Like I'll make you laugh. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll be a fucking idiot and I'll die a whole bunch of times, and you can tell me I suck at this game, but like that's all I can do.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I find for me too, in the past, I've gotten pretty emotionally real with people on Twitch as well, and on streaming in general. But I probably put myself out there a little bit too much sometimes, and I know that because that's just the way I am. Unfortunately, I can't keep anything in. I suck at surprises, and
I'm the
I'm not
worst
very good at
surprises.
keeping secrets. So I mean, it is what it is. Like I just talk too much. But
That's how I feel. Like from going, because when I worked in prison, like I kept my life very like lock and key,
hmm,
and because I was trying to protect myself, protect my husband, my family from that life, because there are like inmates out there that want to hurt us, that would get out and try and find us, and so it was always like I wouldn't put myself out there. I wouldn't talk about my life. And now that I've been away from it for so long, I've been streaming and I've been trying to be more open because I've seen so many people go through struggles that
hmm,
they would probably wouldn't have if they were open about it. And
yeah,
that's why like I've been so open with my journey with having kids, and because I don't like, again, I don't know how it is in Australia, but infertility is something that's not talked about in America. Like you're not really taught about it, like going through like trying to get pregnant or school or anything. And
hmm,
it's kind of like this shunned topic where people don't want to talk about it and they kind of suffer in silence. And so I was very open about our journey, and I would put it on Instagram and I was like, these are my struggles, like I think in America, there's maybe 5 to 7 states that cover it through insurance.
hmm,
I'm not in one of them, so everything we did, we paid out of pocket, and that's thousands of dollars just to try to have children. And
yeah.
so I tried to build this pedestal of like, it's okay, like we all suffer, like we're struggling, like we will get there, like it's not the end of the world. And if I get to a point in my streaming where I have a large platform, I want to do more charity work and like give back to those things and just
Hmm.
help people and realize like you can talk about things without holding it in. And I think that saved so many people because I had people message me like, "Thank you for being transparent about it. Like, thank you because now I feel better. I can talk about it."
Yeah, no, I get that. I know they do have IVF supplements for insurance here, but our health insurance is different structure to yours because your health insurance is structured through private and public, but
Mhm.
it is extremely expensive for private health insurance, and whereas here it's a lot more manageable. And
Mhm.
you get sort of like government rebates for a lot of things like general medical. So like if you have to go to the doctors just to like get a checkup, it's free, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you have to go to a specialist, you have to pay a certain amount, and then the government will give you a certain amount back based on your health level, like your health insurance level. So like if you have a private health insurance and or a public health insurance, it depends on how much your rebate will be, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So that's how
Yeah.
that works. And all stuff in our medical industry I mean, obviously this isn't my area of expertise, but
Yeah.
I have my own private health insurance. So it's like all private health insurance items are listed when you purchase it, right? So
Mhm.
like if you are more like if you need optical more, you would option that higher. If you
Yeah.
need a dental more, you would option it higher. Like, and the higher the option, the more expensive it is. So like for me, the highest thing that I have is physio, right? Because my back's fucked because of my
Yeah.
job, right? And I've been rolling under cars for 14 years. So that's my spine is not quite straight anymore. But because I have 20/20 vision, but my hearing sucks because of all the machinery,
Loud
right?
noises.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like having headphones on 24 hours a day and whatever it might be. So like my right ear is a little bit not fantastic. And like physio is very important to me as well. And the other thing that I've always optioned for is dental, because my mother used to be a dental assistant. And
Mhm.
so and she's like, when it came to teeth, like if we don't brush our teeth 10,000 times, she's like we're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like when we were
Yeah.
kids, it's like twice a day, this, that, do this and that. It was very like rudiment. Like I had braces for like years. You know what I mean? Like straightening things out, pulling things this way and that and the other. It's
Yeah.
just like, it was honestly like the worst timing, because it was like the whole of my high school years are just like a giant set of braces on my
Oh my
face.
God. I had braces and glasses throughout school. So
Yeah.
I mean, I got made fun of so much. I was like, yeah, this is me.
Yeah, it's like not much
My
I can
life.
do about it, but I'm gonna have straight as
Yeah.
fuck teeth. Like, you know what I mean? Like better. Like this
Oh my
is
God,
like
I had the worst lisp too. Like
really.
I couldn't say S's.
Oh
Uh
no.
and so they'd always be like, "Hey, say sit down," because it would sound like I was saying like shit down. Like, oh, like I shit myself, like fuck.
Not again.
Yeah, it's like, damn it, I just need to change again.
Yeah, that's funny
But
though. Like it's funny how you go through things as a kid and you're like, that was the most horrible experience of my life. And then you become an adult and you're like, that was so easy. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's just like perspective, I think, because like the worst thing to ever happen to someone is the worst thing to ever happen to them. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
until the next thing.
Until the next big thing that's worse than that. So it's like by the time you get to like your 30s, there's plenty of things that you've been like, you know what, a lot of that shit wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I think low-key the most thing I'm excited for, like now that I've had kids, is for them to get to a point in school where they're like, "Hey, like I can't find this on Google," or like Google this, whatever. And I can just be like, "I'm older than Google, listen to me."
Yeah. Have you seen this encyclopedia? It's like, the fuck is
Like
that?
it was around before you could do this. I know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
I just visualize this day where I like blow the dust off of like a Britannica CD and just be like, this is what we used to use.
Yeah.
So,
You're pulling out the drawer with all like the index cards.
yeah. You pull out like the, how you have that, people used to have the A to Z of like bibliography stuff. Like you just
Yeah.
be like, who do you want to learn about? Let's look up Z. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like, it's like, what is this? This book? Like, it's like, why is it so brown?
Yeah. Like, what is this? Like
It's
we
just
used
sitting
to
in this
have
cupboard for 28 years. Just
we
waiting for
still
this
had
moment.
growing up, we had the phones where you like did the dial.
Oh,
We had one of
yeah.
those in our house, and it it's just funny. I've seen kids like react to those videos, like, "How do you work this? Like, what? Why is it not working?"
It's so great. It's just like the things that I mean, look, we're just saying is how old we are now. This is getting weird.
I know
Like,
it's really just aging us. Like, I
yeah,
just
yeah,
bought a
yeah,
new
yeah.
car the other day, and I remember like moving stuff from my old car to my new one, like, 'cause I got a Honda Pilot, and
Hmm.
I go to reach on the passenger side of my old car, and I pull out like the what's attached to the visor, and it's a bunch of CDs. And my
Mm.
husband's like, "You still have one of those?" I'm like, "Listen, don't you fucking talk shit about my CDs right now." He's like, "Does your car even have a CD player?" I'm like, I didn't ask, but I'm gonna keep these in my car."
Oh wow. Yeah, no, my like that's actually funny because my new car that I bought a I-Load Hyundai, like a
Mhm.
big van and for work, and yeah, it doesn't have a CD player. I was just like, whoa. Like had a like Apple CarPlay or whatever it is. So you just
Mhm.
plug your phone in and it just plays off Spotify.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so
Look, fuck.
This is the thing. Like, I expected that much because I've worked on cars my entire life, and I've seen them go from like, CD players and Bluetooth, and then Bluetooth sucked, so then they went to SD cards, which didn't take off at all. And then there were some people did mini discs, which never fucking, they were just a waste of time as well. You had one song on this disc you would lose, and then like eventually they were like, okay, we're gonna do cable plug and play on the phones, and then all the cables started breaking. Like, it was just the way, like it was so like touch and go all the time. Like they're always trying to develop something, especially when it comes to car manufacturing. They're always trying to develop something ahead of the next manufacturer. Yeah. But the problem is they miss a step in between, and then trying to get ahead of the game. So everyone buys the product that doesn't work. And then it takes another year to get it right. But then by the time they create the next product, there's something else that's jumped them, and that's broken. So it's like we've gone through so many different things, and like it just keeps happening. Like, I just want the world. Eventually, the world will just get a medium, right? Yeah. When it just stops. Like with computers and stuff, it's perfect because like obviously your phone is your phone. It changes. The phone changes, but the car will never be the different thing. I think the phones will change, but the car systems will stay the same now.
Well, it's funny too, like with PCs, because with all my CDs, my husband's like, "Do you even have anything you can listen to your CDs on?" I was like, "Yeah, my fucking computer. What are you talking about?" And I just ordered, I think Tom McDonald's new album, and I got it in the mail. And I was like, "I'm gonna go fucking listen to it." I walk up into my office, and I'm like, "Fuck me, there's no CD player." So then I have to go downstairs, and I like hijacked our Bluetooth player that we never fucking use, and it has like an inch of dust on, and I brought it up, hooked it up to the TV, and just like listening to my CDs with the Bluetooth thing hanging off my TV.
Dude, I still have a Sony Walkman for that specific reason, because I have all these CDs from back way when, and I'm like, if I want to listen to one, I can't. So. And I can't put them on my computer because I don't have a CD player either. So I'm like,
I don't remember when computers got rid of their disk drives. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah, you want to hear a really fucked up story? This is something I can tell you actually. So, I was away up in Brisbane one weekend, and Brisbane. So I live in Sydney, and Brisbane is about 1,000 kilometers north of where I am. Right, so it's like the next major city in the next state. And so I flew up there for the weekend to see some friends and that. And I was like, fuck, I forgot my headphones, right? And because I got to the airport, and I was like, oh, I forgot my headphones. I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter. I'll just buy some, right? It's like, they're cheap, whatever, buy some headphones. Bought some headphones, got on the plane, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I've never used these kind of headphones, like whatever. Dude, I didn't realize, because I only got a new phone like a month prior to that, I didn't have a headphone jack on my phone. I just didn't think of it. So like I went to plug my headphones into my phone. I don't have a headphone jack. So I just bought these brand new headphones, ripped them out of the bag, and went to plug them into my nowhere to plug them in. And I was just like, oh wow, like I just made like the dumbest like mistake ever. I could have literally dude, it was so bad. I was just like, what am I gonna do? I just paid like $100 for these brand new headphones, and I was like, I have nowhere to use them. I don't even have, like, I can't even use them on anything, like nothing. Like, I don't have a device with a headphone jack unless it's like an MP3 player. Yeah. Like, it's like, how did this happen?
It's like we go through things that we don't even realize when things change because we're so used to using them. And you just assume that there's going to be a fucking headphone jack. You're like, what the fuck?
That's crazy. I always love the differences between things. So when I was traveling in America and when obviously living in Australia, how different everything is, right? Yeah. It's crazy different. Have you ever been to Australia or?
No, I've never been to Australia.
Yeah. So if you've ever been to because you said you've been to Europe, right?
Yep.
So the UK is very similar to Australia when it comes to like a lot of things, because obviously we are, the rejects of the UK down here. So like, this is where they shipped all the ones they didn't want. And then we formed our own country. But basically it's like when I first went to use a gas station in San Francisco, So I had to bring the car. So I drove. First of all, I drove on the wrong side of the fucking road. That was weird. So like in Australia, we drive on the opposite side of the road, right? So we drive on the left side.
Same with UK.
Yeah, same thing. And like, so when I first came up to like, you know, an intersection. Now in Australia, we have a lot of roundabouts. So I don't know, like a roundabout is like, you know, you enter and everyone enters and goes around the circle and fucking exits. When I was
But your
driving
roundabouts
around,
have like multiple lanes, right?
yeah.
Our roundabouts have one.
Yeah, this is what I mean. So like some roundabouts in this country have like 4 lanes. Like it is chaos. Like, but everybody knows the rules and they all generally stick by them, right? So you don't see many accidents because people like insurance is fucking expensive here, right? So they're like, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. I don't want to have to pay the excess. And so, but when I was in America and I was driving through some of the major cities, like when I was driving through San Fran, I was like driving what did I have? I had a Dodge Charger.
Mm-hmm.
Right, this powerful fucking car, and I'm okay with powerful cars, but not for the first time ever driving on the wrong side of the road. So like, I drove out of the airport, nearly drove out the wrong exit at the airport, and went over the spike things. So I nearly did that to start with, and then I was driving down in traffic in San Francisco for the first time ever driving a car in America. So I drove from there to Napa Valley, and I was just like, this is fucking difficult. Like I kept looking at the wrong mirror.
Yeah.
Like, and just stuff like that. And just like, and I was driving, as I always drive, when I drive with my hand on the wheel, like just like that. And I was always driving with my right hand because my left hand's always where the shifter is because I would drive manuals and stuff. And I had to swap hands. And it was the most, like, I don't know whether you've ever like driven manual on the opposite side.
The first time I ever learned how to drive a manual was actually in the UK.
It's so weird though, right? Like,
it is.
Because it's like, and especially if you're right-handed already. So I was like right-handed, right hand steering wheel, left hand in the shifter. And now my right hand's over here. And I'm just thinking, I feel so off balance right now. Like my inner ear is just like this. Like I'm just like, I didn't really know how to react. But it was, anyway, this long story short, I went to the gas station for the first time. And in Australia, you pump your own gas.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And you pump the gas first and then go in and pay. Now it's the opposite in America. So like you have to pay before you pump it out. So I was like, I'm so confused, man. Like honestly, and no one comes out to help you. No one even like, there's no one to ask. So like, because the guy in the room over there is like not paying attention, and you're like, a lot of people just pay at the pump or whatever. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I had no idea. And so like this guy was like parked up next to me, and he started laughing at me, right? Because he's just like, he was an American guy, and he just started laughing at me. He's like, what? He's just like, you are such a tourist. And I was like, why? He's like, you just picked up the pump and then you just put it back on and said, I don't know.
Well, so, if you'd gone to Oregon, I mean, it's changed now, but it was actually illegal in Oregon for the longest time to pump your own gas.
Really?
Yeah, like you would go to a gas station in Oregon, and then you would have to let the attendants pump your gas for you.
Why?
It was just some weird fucking law that they had.
Yeah.
And you would always know, like, when people from Oregon would come into Washington, like my state, because they would just fucking sit there and we're like, we're not pumping your gas. Like, get out of your car, you lazy fuck. Like,
yeah, it was a weird experience. And the funny part about that is that, so I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it because I had to fill the car up in order to return it to the place. And the place was like around the corner. Anyway, the guy who was laughing at me was like, I'll help you. And so then he like showed me how to work the machine. And then he was like, he put the pump in and started pumping, and he finished, he put it back up, and he's like, all right, you're good to go. And I was like, I didn't pay. He's like, no, I paid for you. And I was just like, what do you mean? He's like, I had extra credit, so I just paid for your gas as well. I was like, you didn't need to do that. He's like, you only need like fucking 2 gallons. Like, who cares? Yeah. And but I was just like, no one would ever pay for petrol, like for anyone else in this country. Like, that is just fucking wild. Like, for someone to pay for something like for someone else, like even like to buy someone a drink in this country is considered like, unless it's your mate, it just doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean?
Like, it happens all the time here. Like, I going to work at the prison, especially during Christmas time, I would stop at like a Starbucks, And usually I would try and pay for the entire line just for like a Christmas, like Merry Christmas, have your coffee, and just like pay it forward all the time.
Yeah. See, I love that about America too, because like a lot of the places I went to, like bars and stuff, people would buy me a drink, or they'd like shout me some food or something or whatever it was, like things that blew me away. Like, like a bartender being at like midnight, I'm still sitting there and the bartender's like, "You hungry?" I'd be like, "What?" They'd be like,
Like,
"Do you want to
you
do
want
you want
food?
to do you want a piece of pizza or something?" I was like, "Where are you getting pizza at midnight?" She's like, "I'm gonna make it." I was just like, she's like, "Yeah, I'll just do like $3 for a piece of pizza. I'm gonna make one anyway. So if you want some, I'll just bring it out to you." I was like, this blew my fucking mind, man. Because like in Australia, it's like 9 o'clock, food's gone. Do you know what I mean? This is why
Yeah.
our culture's so fucked, because this is why we breed like the most alcoholics in the history of the world. It's because there is nothing else to do but drink after 9,
Mhm.
right?
I mean,
And
it
a lot of
definitely
people,
depends where you're at, but,
yeah,
like, the bigger cities like San Fran, Seattle, like, there's definitely bars that are open later, that have the kitchen that goes later, and, I
yeah,
mean, there's a lot of shitbags in America, but there's also, like, a decent amount of good people that
yeah.
will
But
help you
even
out.
then, fast food in this country isn't open all the time or anything like that. Like, like some McDonald's don't even open like past midnight. Do you know what I mean? Which is crazy. Like there is obviously 24-hour ones, but like,
Yeah.
it's very like the food choice between say the hours of 9 p.m. and like 5 a.m. is very, very limited. And I live in a major city. Like I live in Sydney. Like I live 20 minutes from the center of the city. Like so it's kind of crazy to me that that's the case, because I don't know.
I just Googled it, it's 1 in the morning here, and there's 4 restaurants that are open.
What the fuck? Like that's wild, because it doesn't make any sense. Like whereas like I was in where was I? Like Vegas is an exception, obviously, because
Yeah.
everything's open all the time, because it doesn't matter what time of day it is, everything's always open, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Because like when I was there, I was like, I'm really hungry.
Like
It's
a
like
different world.
3 a.m. I'm like, I'm gonna
Everyone
go
needs
to
to go to
In-N-Out.
Vegas.
Like, yeah. It's like I want a double. It's 3 a.m. I'm gonna go down and get one. Like, you know what I mean? It was fucking amazing. But
Did you go to the Heart Attack Grill when you were in Vegas?
no, I did not. I didn't go a lot of places. I was very limited to where I was walking around because I didn't know where I was. So I was kind of like, I would get lost in the casino system, and then I'd be like, "Where's the closest place to eat?" And I just find it, and then just kind of wander back to where I was, because I didn't want to stray too far away from where I was, because I had no idea what I
Yeah.
was doing. So like,
I wanna say the Heart Attack Grill is on the old strip of Vegas,
mm,
and it's one of the few restaurants that I went to, and they literally sell, like, hamburgers that are, like, 8 patties high, or, like, fries that are, like, just giant, and the thing is, like, they're all dressed as doctors,
right,
and if you do not finish your meal, they will paddle you, and,
paddle
like,
you.
they'll come spank you for not finishing your food. And it is not a light tap. They, like, fucking wind their hands up and just smack you.
Dude, someone would get sued if they did that here. Like the insurance liability would be ridiculous. There was no way anyone would get away with that. It's like when I was in Nashville, they let us throw axes at a wall while we were drinking. That blew my fucking mind too. Like in Australia, like you'd be lucky to even fucking be allowed in that, even if you were sober. Like it's just like, I think it's just Australian culture. We just can't be trusted to do anything and be responsible for anything. So they just take everything away and baby us. It's like,
I mean, I feel like that's being extremely generous for Americans, because there's probably a good handful that shouldn't be throwing
oh,
axes
100%.
drinking.
But you know what? The thing that I loved about it, and the thing that I love about American culture, is that everyone's responsible for their own actions. And,
Mhm.
and they know the consequences of those actions if they fuck up. So it's like
Yeah.
in Australia, I find that a lot of people, they think they can't get away with anything because of the rules that are made specifically so they don't do anything, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Americans are like, these are the rules. You have all the freedoms in the world, but you know that if you do this, you're going to jail. You know, if you do this, you're getting arrested. You know, if you're doing this, you're getting fined, right?
Yeah.
But everything else is do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt other people. So it's like, I loved that aspect of it, because I felt like I wasn't hamstrung by every single thing. Like in
Yeah.
Australia, you walk down the street and there's 15 fucking signs of all different things going on before you even get the end of the street. Like it's just like they're trying to direct you to whatever. Like it's like they're all zombies and they have to get somewhere. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like It's a little bit too much, I think. Like warning
Yeah, I
signs
mean,
on everything, like
it was
just
definitely a shock going from America to the UK,
yeah.
and just in that aspect, because it was like, "Whoa," like, it looks the same, but it's not the same.
No.
Like, there were signs everywhere, there was just, like, people, like, walking and doing things like, "This wouldn't happen in America," or, like, "This is handled differently."
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that threw me off was the tipping. And I know we talked about it a little bit before we got online, but, it's custom to tip in America, and, like, going to the UK, and it's, like, frowned upon if you try to give them extra money.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
100%. It's like I was saying
"No,
with
no."
Australians. They get paid too much. That's why we don't get tips. We get taxed and we get paid too much. And it's just at the end of the day, it's like like most of the customer service you get is not going to be great. So it's like you're just going to get what you get. Here's your food. Here's your drink. Fuck off. Like, all right,
Yeah.
sweet. They don't expect a tip either because they don't work for it. So, the funny thing is, right, is if I go to a restaurant and the waiter or waitress comes up to me and is lovely to me the entire time, takes my order, has a conversation with me, brings me my food, the food's great, we have a chat afterwards, whatever, I still tip them anyway. You know what I mean? Like if and I make sure the tip goes to them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is a way for you to do that. It's obviously very rare, but you can do that.
Yeah.
Whereas like in America, you look for the bad service to not tip. Whereas in
Yeah.
Australia, you look for the good service to tip. So it's the opposite all over again. So like
Yeah.
I was blown away by the quality of service in America when I went to restaurants or when I went to bars because of how generous it is. As opposed to Australia, it's like, I want this, and they're like, cool, here it is. It's like
Bye.
it's not an experience
Mhm.
of service. It's just an experience of the item you wanted.
Yeah, because
You
I
know
think a
what I
lot of
mean?
people here, they go in the mindset, like, they're already going to tip, and then
Yeah.
once things start going badly, you're like, "Okay, cool, this is affecting the tip that I'm giving you."
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
which makes sense in some aspects, and then some aspects, it's like, "Okay, you're just being a dick." Um,
Pretty
but
much.
I mean, I've given really good tips, and I've given really bad tips, and it's just like, if they go out of their way, it's like, "Yes, like, you are trying to do this." But then I've
Yeah.
had people that, just the other day, we went to a restaurant, and our drinks, like, weren't filled, like, we never got our bill, like, we had to ask for it 3 times, and it wasn't even busy. We're like,
Yeah.
"What?" Like, "You're just ignoring us to ignore us," like
Yeah. And then they're like, "Where's our tip?" You're like, "Fuck
yeah.
off." No, I get. I see that, and I sound a lot like as an Australian, I sound like I'm shitting on my own country really hard right now. But all I'm doing is I'm nitpicking things that I like. So like,
Yeah.
all it is, right, too, is I'm trying to make comparisons between different cultures more than
Mhm.
anything else. And I just think like having lived here my entire life and then going to another country and experiencing different culture, I think it's a bit wild. Like you have to have lived it in order to figure it out. Like you go to the UK and being an American, you're just like, wow, I'm in an alien universe. Like, whereas
Yeah.
like it's the same if an Australian travels anywhere in the world. Australia is a very isolated place. And we have some very, very, very strict rules when it comes to things. And that's just the way we are. Like, like I said, I think a lot of Australians grew up in that era where they needed the rules in order to not
Mhm.
fuck up so bad. But like I think nowadays we could probably do with taking some of those rules away in order to free society a little bit so that
Yeah.
they don't feel so trapped in their own country. I think
It's like, I think a lot of people
that's
do not
true.
realize what they have for, like, them. They
Mm,
don't realize the freedoms that they have until they go to a different country. And
yeah.
I've always told, like, my friends and family, because my mom thought I was crazy getting on a plane and flying to the UK, because I was by myself. I went completely by myself to
Yeah, I
meet
love it.
people I had met online again.
Yeah.
Like, no, I wanna live life, I wanna experience cultures, and I think if anyone has the ability to do so in their lifetime, they absolutely should. They
Hmm.
absolutely should go and experience someone else's culture, because you're gonna come back and be more realize what you don't and realize what other people don't.
Yeah.
I I kinda act back and it was like, "Dang, this is what I have. I'm blessed to have this life, and these are the things I can improve it."
Yeah, I agree. Um, it's it's like simple things too, like having a drink in your hand and walking from one bar to another.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you if you had a drink in your hand, you walked out of a pub in Australia, you get arrested. Like straight up, they would crash tackle you and throw you in jail. Whereas like I was in Austin and I had a beer in my hand and I was like, oh, I better finish my drink before I go to the next bar. And the lady's like, oh, you can take it with you. I was like, what?
So not all states are like that. You can't do that in Washington.
No,
You
yeah,
have to finish
yeah.
a drink in the Seattle area. But I mean, like, Vegas is like you can walk down the fucking strip and get a
Dude,
refill.
you can
Like,
get you.
I was there with my
There's a
husband, I
bar
was
in the
like
middle of the fucking road. Like,
yeah. I
this
was like,
is-
"Oh god, like, my daiquiri's gone, I need a refill." And I would just go to a fucking stand, and they'd give me another
yeah,
daiquiri, and I'd be on my way.
it's a wild place, eh?
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
love it.
unlike it's unlike anything on Earth. Like if you think about it, it's just a giant adult playground. Like you just get away
Vegas?
with whatever you
Absolutely.
want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
Like,
Like
I mean, I've seen a lot of things in my life, and then Vegas just amplifies
yeah.
it.
The good question actually though, how many Americans actually go to Vegas? Because I noticed that Vegas is a very international based area where it comes to
I'd
things.
say a good chunk. I mean, a lot of my friends we're always talking about Vegas, and I think that the reason being is that they've made it so flights to Vegas are extremely cheap. Like, I can get a ticket probably, like, for $50 to fly
Oh
down to Vegas.
wow.
So they make it, because I think because they know that we're gonna spend a lot of money, so
Hmm.
they make it, like, just super accessible, and really easy to go.
Well, it'd be one of those
They're always having
places
deals.
like similar to similar to Hawaii, right? Whereas like it's a fly in, fly out economy. Like
Mhm.
people who live there don't spend money there. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Whereas people who fly in there will spend the most money. So you make it
Oh,
cheaper for
absolutely.
those people to get there.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. 100%. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
but I mean, like, living in Hawaii, like, you're paying, like, $5 for a gallon of milk, $5 to $10 a gallon of milk because it's an island out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean logistics, right? You
Yeah.
know, like it takes a while to get things there. I mean, with every flight they take into that country, they must have a whole shitload of stuff underneath to
Oh,
drop
yeah.
off
Absolutely. I
just
would
to
imagine, so
just to save on fuel costs. Jesus, fuel costs. Holy crap. Yeah, we
all these things you worry about as an adult now are like, "Can I just go back to caring about school and sleeping and not having responsibilities?"
instead of having to pay for gas.
Yeah. Pay for rent, gas, electricity, like, this is bullshit.
Dude, I literally had to pay it was $2.40 a litre yesterday for diesel. And that's like $7 a gallon.
Mhm.
That's
I
fucking
think we're getting
wild.
up to, like, $6, $5 to $6 in Washington.
Yeah. See, that's crazy because Australians always
Really
have paid a lot of amount of money for gas as it is because we
yeah,
live in a fucking island as well. Like,
yeah.
we don't make it here or get it here. It all comes from somewhere else. So it's like, it's weird. Like, I think uh, everything that's going over on in Europe is more of an excuse for governments to charge more money on things.
Mhm.
I don't think it's like, yes, it is affected. Of course it is. Like it will affect everything, supply chains and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's as bad as they make it out to be. I think when it comes to government spending, they probably overspent and they've got to cut back on something and they use it as an excuse, I think, to
Yeah.
maybe do that. But I mean, we're not politicians and we're not economists, so I guess we'll just have to just deal with it.
Yeah. Like,
Tough
this is
shit,
my
I
life.
guess. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's something that is so nice about the internet because we all go through, like, the same life struggles or
hmm,
difficulties, and we all can relate,
yeah.
and, like, I feel definitely blessed to be able to do what I do online and just be, like, a total dipshit
Yeah, I
and
mean,
just
it's great
be
fun.
totally honest about it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm also thankful, my husband is so supportive in my streaming. He made a Twitch account and just so he could pull it up when he sleeps if I'm streaming super late, and he's like, I made sure to pull it up so you have a viewer, like, have a good stream, I love you." I'm like, "Stop."
Ah, that's nice though.
Yeah, it's nice, but then he's also an asshole because my stream was able to donate money for me to buy an Oculus, a VR headset.
Hmm.
And so I was playing, Carlos loves to tell him that he's the best content creator in my stream because I'll be playing, like, Phasmophobia in VR, and my asshole of a husband will come and, like, like, tickle me or, like, grab me, and I, like, freak the fuck out because 'cause I'm playing a horror game, and I'm like, "God damn it, stop." or he'll sit there with like a ruler and just like randomly poke me.
That's so good. I
And
love
I'm like,
that.
can you not? And he's like, no, it's too fun.
It's teamwork.
Um, yeah. So it's just it's wonderful to yeah, he's the clip king. And the image you used for uh my picture for the podcast?
Hmm.
And, like, so I'm wearing a giant onesie in that, and, like, 'cause it's super fucking comfy. My husband absolutely hates it. Hates it. He's like, "No, I don't know why,
It's a
but I
great
shall fucking like."
photo.
Yeah, so naturally, I'm buying, like, 5 more of them
Yeah, of
just
course.
to,
Yeah.
like, wear them around the house, and he's like, "Why do you buy these things?" 'Cause I have different, like, wigs and, like, costumes and stuff. I'm like, "'Cause it's fun. It's
Yeah.
funny." Like, 'cause I like being an idiot on the internet.
Yeah. The first thing I ever did when I came into your stream was redeem it. The white wig.
Yeah.
That was so
There's
good.
all the ravioli.
Yeah. It was so
And
great.
then Jess and I were playing Raft, which have you ever played Raft?
Never.
Have you seen me play it at all?
Maybe. I don't know.
So it's it's literally you're just on a raft and you're picking stuff up from the ocean to build tools and to build your raft up to like go on an adventure and figure out what happened to society.
Sounds like
And then you
Standard Deep a bit, doesn't it?
yeah. So, and then they're like your raft gets attacked by all these animals and one of them's a shark. And I was talking to Jess, I was like, how funny would it be if I just bought a fucking shark outfit and played raft in it? Which, of course, I bought it, and then I've
Yeah.
streamed in it, and then when I went to Arizona, we spent an entire day walking around the mall, and I was wearing the shark outfit.
So
Like, I was going
it's
up
easy
and
to
down the
say that
escalator.
you don't mind taking the piss out of yourself.
Oh, no, I do it all the time.
It's great.
And I got so many looks in Arizona, like, "Why are you in a shark costume?" Like, "Why not?"
Hmm.
And they're like, "Is this the left shark?" I was like, "No, this is Terry the shark." 'Cause no one cares about the left shark, no one asks about Terry.
Yeah. What about Terry's feelings, you know?
Yeah, Terry matters, come on.
Um, when you play games on stream and stuff, you're obviously a big fan of horror games and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm terrified of them, but I'll play them.
Yeah. How do you go through like the selection of games? Do you like find games you want to play, or do you find games that are like going to challenge you, or how do you usually go about that?
If it's because I won't pick out a horror game to play myself because I am terrified. I usually let chat decide, like, "Hey, you should play this," because I think it would be hilarious to watch you, like, cry on stream.
Hmm.
Like, done.
Okay.
But I try to pick, games that I enjoy playing, like The Witcher, uh, Lost Ark, things like that, and then I also try and, like, let my community feel like they're involved by
Hmm.
picking games like, "Hey, I wanna see this one played." So I try and balance it out a little bit, so it's not just what chat wants to see and not just what I wanna do, because I
Yeah.
feel like you get burnt out if you do just one or the other.
No, I agree because, like, if you're always playing games you don't want to play, or that they pick that you might not enjoy,
Mhm.
you're just going to struggle to provide the content with this with that because I don't know about you, but like I can't fake enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like I'm not very good at it. I can't fake anything. Let's be honest. But I'm very like if I don't like a game within 30 minutes or so, everybody can see it, and I'm just like
Yeah.
I'm changing games. Like, just like I hate this. I'm changing. Like I'll
Well, I
just
think that's a healthy
change.
boundary to have as a streamer.
Yeah,
Well, like, you don't wanna be miserable on stream because then you're just angry, and I don't like being angry on
no one wants
stream.
to watch that shit. Like no one wants to watch someone who's just like having a hard time. Like saying that though, it is a different concept whenever I'm playing Warzone because
Mhm.
when I'm playing Warzone, I'm raging. I'm not sad. I'm angry.
Yeah.
Like and
Yeah.
like I'm raging not because I don't like the game, because I know that I could have been better at a certain point. Like so I'm like I'm getting mad at myself because I make mistakes. So like
Yeah.
I'll be playing and I'll be like, I'll have 3 people down and the last guy kills me. I'm just like, fuck, like I get so mad because I'm like, I could have done that. I could have killed that guy if I
Yeah.
just done this, or just like hindsight's a bitch when it comes to that game.
And I
But
think that circles back to with the community, like, being involved. It's like there's certain things that they love seeing you fail as a streamer. It's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, get fucked." And, like, I play a game, what was it called? Getting Over It, and it's a dude in a pot, and you try and, like, climb a mountain with just a sledgehammer, and it's the most infuriating
Oh,
game,
I've
but they think
seen
it's
that
hilarious.
game.
Yeah,
That game's wild.
it makes me so mad, but they love it because you're like, "Oh, you're so close," and you have to start over. Um, or just to do things to hinder playing games. Like one of my redemptions is to lose my glasses, and I'm blind as fuck, so I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think one of my viewers did it during Ready or Not. So I'm running around just blindly shooting because I can't see. And and it's not just me taking my glasses off, it's like me putting these on. So I'm like, what's going on? Like I can't see what I'm doing. Like just to have like more fucking fun with it.
Oh,
Um
that's so good. That's fantastic. I
I'm
was
I mean, I'm always looking for ways to get make it more interactive
yeah,
too.
no, that's half the battle though too. Like creating content is fun, right? It's supposed to be fun. People like oh it's such a job. You know what I mean? Like it's so tiring. It's like don't do it then. Do something
Yeah.
else.
What are you
Like
doing?
I do this podcast because I enjoy talking to my friends and I enjoy
Mhm.
having fun with my friends, right? I do this because I get to meet new people, just like you do, meet new people on the internet, bring them into the community. I want to be part of their community. I want to get to know them. I want people to know what they're all about. And this is the greatest way to do that. This is not because I want to or I have to do this. This is because I really enjoy doing this, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big difference between that and then being like, I have to do the podcast this week. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what a drag. You know what I mean? Like, no, I just go through the list of people in my community and I go, oh, who are the people I would love to fucking talk to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just tick them off and we just go from
I
there.
I remember coming into your stream for the first time because I was playing The Witcher, and I believe you were playing The Witcher.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd streamed for like probably like 12 hours or so. Like it was one of my longer ones.
I remember you
And
stayed.
and then I stayed for your almost your entire stream because your fucking commands made me laugh
Yeah.
hysterically.
You were just measuring cocks and shit.
Yeah, yeah. And then I went and I told Kaylee, I was like, "You have to come see this stream because you're gonna love his command." And then like I would just drop it and be like, "I got the biggest one, guys."
Oh,
And
so
I
good.
remember telling Jess about you, and she just had her birthday, and so then I just sent her 2 neon signs, one that says "fuck off" and one that's a giant like cock. So she's getting like this giant neon wiener to hang on her wall.
It's
And I
beautiful.
was like, "Yes." Like, I don't know why this exists, but I need to buy it.
It's the things you spend your money on, eh?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, I'll do anything to make my friends laugh.
Yeah, that's cool. That makes you a good friend to have because sometimes people
Yeah.
need that laugh, like that's fantastic. I remember that night specifically. I think it was like maybe the second stream I'd streamed The Witcher. And
Mhm.
because I played offline a heap of times, and this is probably my third playthrough. So I knew what I was doing, so I was taking the piss a little bit while I was doing it. And I remember you coming in with the raid and I remember Wine coming in because she was like just cackling basically in my chat, just like
Yeah,
emojis everywhere and shit. And I think Valk was there as well, and you guys were just having
yeah,
a fucking mad laugh. And it was just like I was like, oh, you guys are funny. Like you guys are all like bouncing off each other
yeah,
because like you would say something and she would joke about it and then come back and forth, and it's like, oh my god, these people are like really really good friends because you can tell because they're just all like an energy. And then I
yeah.
remember I went into your stream for the first time, and then I went into Wine's stream for the first time. I was like, I get it now because I don't know whether anyone's ever watched a Wine stream, but it's literally just her laughing the entire time.
Yeah.
Like it's just so
I love her.
she just pisses herself laughing the whole time. And it's just like, it makes me laugh hearing her laugh. And so like I
Yeah.
spend the whole time just giggling, listening, listening to her stream. Because it's like incoherent most of the time. Like I have no idea what she's saying, but it's fucking hilarious.
Yes.
And I think that's what I loved about like both of you, because you're both the same. Like you really just like push you push the fun before the game, and that's what more people I think need to do. Like that's what I try to do too. Like unless I'm playing something super competitive, and that's the whole reason
Yeah.
I'm playing it. Any game I do, I'd take the piss. Like I'm trying to play it because it's fun for me to play, but it's also fun to watch, and I'm making it as interactive as humanly possible. You know what I mean? So like,
And that's the biggest thing we're trying to do with S Squad Alpha. Like we're trying to build it into an actual stream team, an actual community where it's like you don't have to be good at games to like
Yeah.
them, to be involved with them. We all fucking suck at it. That's why it's called F Squad Alpha. We fail at games.
Yeah,
Like, you'll see us die more than anything, but we're
exactly.
having a good time. I think have you ever played Overwatch?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we got to the level where we could play ranked, and so Jess and I played ranked for a few times and just got shit on, like, absolutely shit on. We're like, "Yeah, this sucks. Let's fucking do that again."
It's low key shit.
And then we got to the level in Lost Ark where we could do PvP. Our first fucking PvP match, we got 0 kills. Like, we were murdered, like, 10 times, and Jess and I just typed in chat, like, "I am so sorry, I suck at this." Like, let me
Yeah.
apologize for how bad I am at PvP.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the first time because I used to be a massive Warcraft player. Like
Mhm.
I used to play World of Warcraft like religiously every single day. And this was a while back, but like I started playing PvP for a while, and I just fucking hated it. Like I was a real like quest person. I was like I
Mhm.
will go on 7,000 quests in a row, and then I'll go to the market and just auction shit for 10 hours. I don't care. Like that was
Yeah.
my favorite thing to do. And I just be walking around with like $1 billion fucking dollars and just like, look at me, like I'm the best. Like, you know what I mean?
Like, I am a king.
I have 10 players, they're all 75, and I'm fucking amazing. Like that's how I would play it. Like, whereas like a lot of people love that real sweaty PvP sort of
Mhm.
aspect to it. I played PvP like for a week once. I just thought I'm gonna give it a good go because I'm like, I know I'm gonna quit this within 5 minutes. But if I give it a good go, really try, that was the worst week of my life. Like I fucking hated every second of it. I was just like, every time next day I'd be like, look, maybe it'll get better today. That just wasn't for me. Like it was
I
too
think that's what I
much, too
love
many
about
buttons and fucking
Yeah.
command clicks and auto this and that, and it was just like I can't be bothered, man. It was just
So
too
I
much
I
to
played
do.
WoW for, quite a while as well,
Yeah,
and, I think that's why I love Lost Ark so much because it gives me WoW vibes, but
yeah,
I don't hate it, and then the PvP isn't mandatory, so you can go in and play it if you want to.
yeah,
Because I played New World, and I loved that, and then it got super toxic. Like, New
yeah,
World is one of the most toxic games I have ever played in my life. And, like, it's a good game, it's a beautiful game, but just the community was terrible. And I
yeah,
was like, "I need to leave this because this is not good for my mental health." And going into games like Lost Ark, it's so refreshing because people are helpful and they're not nasty about PvP. And I've gotten better at PvP. I've killed 2 people.
yeah. I noticed that with New World as well because like I was a game I was interested in looking into because I was watching a lot of people, like a lot of streamers who I enjoy watching. I was watching them play it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like they've got a lot of WoW vibes, but also they've got a lot of that kind of like when it comes to questing, it wasn't just killing things and stuff. It was actually
Yeah.
mining and like chopping and all the kind of stuff that takes time, but it's enjoyable to do. And
Mhm.
just like the little grinding quests. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whereas like original WoW, like when you used to play like the first couple of WoWs were like real grind WoWs. Like the quests took ages. You know what I mean? Like they weren't easy. Like nothing was
Yeah.
easy in that game. That game was fucking hard, right? And then the new WoW is just like you can be at level 10 in like 10 minutes. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I played Shadowlands
Not
and I
worth
was
it.
like, it's literally I was level 20 in like a couple of days. Whereas like if you're playing OG WoW, that would take you like a month to get to
Yeah.
level 20. Like it was grinding game and there was so much fucking walking. Like just we go on a walk across the map again. Like, it's like
Every few years, I'm like, "All right, I'm ready to hate myself again. I'm gonna reactivate my WoW account, and I'm
yeah.
gonna grind it out, and I'm gonna go do the run for Ashes of Alar, and I'm gonna fucking
Yeah.
go until I wanna hate myself, and I'm gonna quit again because it's been fucking, like, 10 years, and I still don't have that fucking mount."
Yeah, dude, straight up. Like I literally like I have that as well. Like I remember me and Rav, one of the guys who comes into my stream, he was a massive WoW. Like he was like a raid and a guild master and all this kind of stuff back in the
Mhm.
day. And he was like, we should play WoW again together on stream and stuff. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we went back and played. Like I started a new account because my old account was like I fucking deleted it. Like
Yeah.
I literally couldn't have it on my computer. Like I was just like it became an addiction to the point where I had to delete it off my computer.
Yeah.
And so, but deleting it off my computer meant I could reinstall it, right? So instead of doing that, what I did was I deleted my account and then deleted it off my computer, and then threw the disc in the bin. So I was like, never playing this game again. And then obviously, then not long ago, it was free to play or whatever on whatever it's called, the one with the Call of Duty, Activision, or whatever it is, Battle.net. And so Battle.net brought it out for like trial period free or whatever. I was like, oh god, here we go again. So I was like, I'll start a new character, and we started new characters, and we played. I believe we were night elves, and we played through the first couple of chapters, like the first couple of landings. And I think we were about level 15, and then I got to level 15 after that week, and I was like, dude, I can't do this again. Like I just can't do it. Like we're not going down this road again. Like it was just fucking
it's crazy how much it steals your soul. Like
it's just hours and hours and hours. You know, and being someone who's like a gamer and loves games, I get really, really into it. Like I'll like not even notice the sun went up and down. Like it's fucking horrible. And you know, as an adult who has responsibilities, I have other things to do. Whereas as a kid,
now, like
when I was a kid, all I had to worry about was going to school and coming home from school. Like that's all I had to worry about when I was a kid. But now it's, you know, like, you know, I'm running a business and I'm trying to like, you know, edit all this other stuff and do all these other side projects and like, you know, try and manage, you know, you got to feed yourself and you got to go and work out and you got to do this and that and the other. And I'm just like, it's too much to play a game like that now. Like you just can't be done.
Yeah. It's like a job.
It is. You remember like being part of like a guild or something back in the day was like literally like if you're not there for the raid, for the dungeon raid, you're fucking in trouble. Like it's like, oh man, we needed the mage. Where you at? I'm just like, fuck me, like, you know.
Although, like, thank you for the meme of Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, that's probably the greatest meme of all. Like, I don't think there's anything better.
When I'd given birth to my son, we hadn't come up with a name yet. We had a name, but we hadn't told anybody. And the nurses kept asking, like, hey, what's his name? What's his name? And I was like, we're not gonna say until he's here. I fell asleep, like I passed out. And I woke up to the nurses filling out all like the paperwork. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, oh, you picked a name. It's great. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't have a baby yet. Like, what's happening? And I hear my husband snickering, and I look up because there's a whiteboard with all like your medical information and the baby's information. This motherfucker wrote Leroy Jenkins on the whiteboard for the child's name. And so the nurses are putting Leroy Jenkins on all of his like, official birthing documents. So I was like, no, my son is not Leroy Jenkins. And it was like, he was loving it. I was like, no.
That's
and every
beautiful.
once in a while, he'll still call him Leroy. And I'm like, I will fucking divorce you right now. Like, stop.
That's the greatest story I've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm
Holy
like,
shit.
Motherfucker.
What a legend. No, that's funny because I mean, like, you know, for him to do that and for you to like, you know, be who you are. I mean, you definitely picked the right person. I can tell you that much because, like, you know, most people would have lost their shit, like crazy. But that's
I love my husband, but he was terrible during the birthing. Like, I'd be going through a contraction, and he had day before we went in and got admitted, he went and got the flu shot because like you're supposed to like for the baby and stuff. And so I'm going through a contraction and my husband's on the couch and he looks up and he's like, is this a bad time to complain that my arm hurts from the flu shot? And I'm like breathing through it. And I was like, I will murder you. And then he puts on the Chiefs football game because he's from Kansas. He loves the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And like I'm literally pushing out our child and he's like, can you wait a second? They're about to get a touchdown. And I'm like,
That's the most American dad thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. And of course he's joking, but like the nurses thought he was serious, and I was like, it's fine. I'll murder him when you leave. It's fine.
Yeah. It's just a warped sense of humor. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I love that. That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been great having you on the podcast. I really enjoyed our conversation. I like.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Hold please.
Hold please. She's putting it on. Hold on, you guys gotta wait for this one. Here we go.
I had to get out Terry.
It's beautiful. It's fucking amazing.
I am.
Oh my God, yes. If you guys would like to see more of Terry, you can catch NEZZZ on Twitch or on YouTube as at Elf Squad Alpha. And you're on Twitter as well, I know. I will put all the links are in the description below. And if you guys want to click over those links and go give her a follow, I'm sure she would very much appreciate it.
I also forgot to tell you, Terry has his own social media.
Does he actually?
Yeah, he has an Instagram and Twitter.
You can add that. You can add that in the comments section, surely.
It's the Shark Terry or Terry the Shark. I don't know. It's the Shark Terry.
Yeah, we'll find it. We'll post it up.
Yeah.
In the meantime, guys, tomorrow we will have the Empowerment Podcast at 3 p.m. Australian Eastern, which will be your time, I believe, will be 9 p.m. tomorrow. So
that's not too bad. That's a lot better than midnight.
Yeah, true. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you all then. But in the meantime, yeah, go give NEZZZ a follow, and I'm sure she'll be in the community a lot, and we'll be in hers and hanging out. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Talk soon.
Yes.